Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you all about some things that we probably should not be storing long term in our pantries. I know the focus has been on stocking up, stack it to the rafters, get what you can, and all of those things. And while that is true, we still have to be mindful of what we're stocking. And anyway, as I've been going through, organizing my pantry and adjusting my list of things that I still want to add to my pantry, I've been noticing off and on, like as time goes on, as you use those items from time to time, some things aren't storing as well as others. And I wanted to share that with you all today because there are things that I had thought I would stock long term that I will probably try to find an alternative to that. The first thing that I think of is crackers, my saltine crackers, graham crackers, things along those lines. I think I bought 6 boxes of saltines. The boxes are still sealed. The plastic wrap is still sealed on the crackers themselves. But as I've used them this winter with soup and things, they are not fresh, and they're not out of date yet, but they're stale. They're not super fresh. And I think the longer that time goes on, the more stale they're going to become. I also would like to say right now that the place I have my prepper pantry right now is in a spare bedroom. It is closed off most of the time. It's nice and cool in there. I've got the curtains drawn, so there's not a lot of sunlight. There's not a lot of heat or humidity at all in that room. That should be the perfect place to store food items. Crackers should stay fresh in that room. That's what I'm trying to say. I will continue to buy crackers, of course, because we like crackers in our soup. We like peanut butter crackers, all of those things. But I won't stock up long term. I won't buy a year's worth of crackers because within 2 months, they're going to be stale. Another item that I've noticed is breakfast cereal. It doesn't stay fresh very long. And to buy a long-term supply of breakfast cereal, you're just going to have stale cereal that your kids aren't going to want to eat. So that's another item I've noticed. And I've got a few items that I've had just disasters in my storage. Sauerkraut was the first disaster. I kept noticing on my shelf that this wasn't even in my prepper pantry. This was in my kitchen cabinets. There was liquid and it was sticky and it was brown and I couldn't figure where did this come from? This was years ago, by the way. I wasn't as aware as I am now of my food and storage and all of that. And as I was cleaning out my cabinets, I realized it was a can of sauerkraut that was in the back corner of that cabinet, and it had come through the can and leaked all over my cabinet. It was on my other canned goods. It was a terrible mess, and it hadn't been there super long either. I mean, it had been there longer than I would prefer, but I would say a good 6 months or less it had been in that cabinet, and it had caused that kind of yuck. So sauerkraut is not a good long-term storage. And I'm not sure if you would, because I know you can buy sauerkraut in a glass jar. Maybe in a glass jar it would store better and keep longer. I'm just not sure. But as far as like a can of sauerkraut, it was not a good experience for me. And that made me question other items in my prepper pantry. Did that sauerkraut come through the can because it was an acid-based product? What about tomato products? Would tomato products do the same? I'm going to be researching that. And also, I'm going to just say, that reminds me to say this to you all as well right now. I want your input. I want you to tell me things in the comments below, all of my viewers, whoever you are out there. If you've had an experience with a food item in your pantry, please let me know so we will know, and others of my viewers read my comments and see what people are saying, because we all have had our own experiences, like my sauerkraut experience. Let me know what's not storing well for you so I can make adjustments to my prepping list as well, and others as well. I sure would appreciate that. Anyway, so I'm going to be looking up and doing some research on my tomato products, because I've stored a lot of crushed tomatoes, tomato juice, Rotel tomatoes. I've got lots of tomato products in my pantry. I would definitely say, if you do decide to store tomato products, knowing that they do have a higher acid content, be sure you keep them rotated and check on your, that's a good idea anyway. Once a month, go into your pantry and just give it a good once over. Look at everything, make sure it's all still in good shape. All right, now I had another experience that was a catastrophe. And this is the most important thing. As a prepper, we need water. You have to have water to survive, right? Well, this was, I was preparing for Y2K, so this was way back then. Kroger had 2-gallon boxes of water. They were plastic, and they were like in a rectangle shape. It held 2 gallons of water, and I thought that would be a wonderful way to store water. So I every time I bought groceries, I would pick up 2 of those 2-gallon containers of water. And at that point, I had my piano in the corner of my living room. So behind my piano, I would just stack those boxes of water. And then I cleaned off the top shelf in my bedroom closet, and I started stacking boxes of water in the top part of my bedroom closet, okay? I didn't have a prepper pantry at that time. I was just sticking my extra food items where I could find space, okay? Which is a great way to start, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that, other than this went very badly wrong for me. Little did I know that I guess the plastic that the containers are made from that store this water, it broke down. And I didn't realize that my water was leaking everywhere. And then when I did realize my water was leaking everywhere, oh my goodness, the corner of my living room behind that piano, the floor was warped up. My bedroom closet shelf is warped really bad from it. I had some clothes that were wet. That's when I first realized what's going on here. My clothes, I'd pull them off of a hanger and they'd be wet. I did call Kroger and tell them about this, and they refunded my money. For every empty box I took in, they gave me the full amount of what that water cost me. So I was thankful for that. But here I have this catastrophe on my hands. And the floor, we were able to dry the floor, and as we dried it and it had a heavy weight on it, it is level once again. But my closet shelf, not so much. But anyway, so just be careful how you store your water, because I know people store water successfully. I just chose either a bad brand of container or whatever. I didn't have heavy things stacked on top of the water, but I would have 2 to 3 stacked on top of the water itself, and it caused a terrible mess in my house. So we do need to be sure we have water available for our families, and I'm 100% on board with that. I'm just cautioning you to be careful how you store your water, and check on it. Make sure that it's storing well and not leaking everywhere. Another item that I've discovered was brown rice does not store well. You can store brown rice for about 6 months, and then it goes rancid, and even the texture is not good. It just doesn't do well at all. And whole wheat flour is the same. You cannot store whole wheat flour for very long at all, and it goes rancid. And that's the thing. I've learned that the white rice, white flour, white sugar, all of the white products, they're not as healthy for us because the nutrients have been removed. But at the same time, they remove from the wheat berry, they remove the part of the wheat berry that does go rancid and cause problems with storage. So I don't know the solution there. I have wheat berries that I store in my deep freeze, my deep freezer, I should say. That's how I go for whole wheat flour, is I just store the wheat berries themselves, and then when I need them, I have a wheat grinder that I grind my wheat berries and make my own whole wheat flour. Wheat berries will stay indefinitely as long as they're frozen. So that's what I've chosen to do. But I also have a large storage of white flour in my prepper pantry. So there's the whole wheat flour, it goes rancid, brown rice, the same. So I've stored a lot of white rice, even knowing that the brown rice is preferable in a long-term situation. It's important just to have food on hand. So I've stored white rice instead of brown. Another item would be Bisquick and self-rising flour. Those kinds of things do not store for a long term. I'm assuming it's the baking powder that's in there. So that leads me also to say baking powder probably does not store long term. Not sure what the solution would be to that. I do have quite a bit of baking powder stored. I guess just be sure that you rotate that and replace it as you need to. I know one year actually this has happened to me more than once, for birthday cake, I baked an Italian cream cake for one of my sons for their birthday. And it's a 3-layer, it's a nice, tall, beautiful cake. And his birthday cake literally looked like there was 3 pancakes stacked on top of each other because my baking powder had expired and I didn't realize it. So those are all things to consider as well. Do some research, see if there's things that can substitute for that baking powder. Yeah, that would just be something we need to find out more about. Also, I don't know about this. I'm just asking a question for you guys to please let me know in the comments. What about yeast? Does yeast store long term, or do we need to be careful of yeast as well? I have a bulk supply of yeast that I store in my freezer as well, and it stores super long time in the freezer. But then I have the little Fleischmann's packets that I have up in my cabinet here. And I know the past couple of times that I've made homemade pizza, I've used my yeast that's up in the cabinet, and it does fine. I mean, the crust is rising and everything. So, and it expired in September of 21. So I am using expired yeast for my pizza crust right now. And as of right now, as of last Friday night, pizza night, it did fine. It did absolutely fine. But I'm curious to know what you all think about that. How long can we store our yeast for? Because I know if we lose power, that freezer is going to not be functioning, of course. So yeah, we need to be thinking about that as well. That is all I could think of. I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about that as we've been having soup and using our crackers and they're stale. Then I got to thinking of other things that I realized that, well, that didn't store as well either. So do we really want to take up valuable space in our prepper pantry storing things that aren't going to last very long? And we know we don't want to throw food away that we've spent our money on. So that's my thing today. That's my encouragement today, is to check out your pantries. Make sure you're rotating your food. Look at your cans, look for bulging, look for leaking, look for rust. Those kinds of things would not be safe for our families. So we really need to be diligent to take care of the food that we've bought and stored. And we need to be careful in the future about what we're purchasing, what we're stacking on our pantry shelves. We don't want to buy things that are just going to go bad that we don't get to use. So, all right, that's all I had for you today. I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let's grow this channel, guys. And most of all, I hope I see comments from you all. Let me know your ideas. Let me know what you've noticed in your prepping experience, that food items that don't store as well, so we can all add that to our list and start looking out for those things. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.